We have talked a lot about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Well, let's keep going.
We stopped doing these just like straight up ask the reviewers, like Q&A, but we figured it was pertinent because, again, we've talked about so much, but now the game's out. Came out yesterday, despite the fact that it's been lauded all over the place for about 2 weeks now. Mm-hmm. I love it. Callie?
I love it. I can't stop playing it, actually.
It's really good. Pete, you reviewed it. You gave it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions for you. I'm going to let you kick it off, though. What do you love about this game?
Boo, where to begin? I think combat is sort of first and foremost the best part about the game. Aloy is super agile, right? She fights these like monsters that are really machines that are super fast, and they always sort of have an answer for everything that you throw at them. So you're constantly juggling this really diverse set of tools, facing off enemies that have a diverse set of abilities, and trying to sort of just come out on top. But you also have a chance to be creative with the stuff that you have. And so really like the flow of combat and being able to mix things up and do things differently, and the diversity of the monsters themselves. Like as you explore the map, you run into a lot of crazy variations, and combat is really the thing that drives this game home. But it's also a very beautiful world, and Aloy is a really great character. Like she's not perfect. Like there's some dialogue that feels a bit, like sort of just drummed up for side quests and stuff. Like, okay, but as a character, like she starts off as someone who doesn't know a lot about the world, but she comes into something to own something that no one else really has ownership of or knowledge of. And that sort of propels her down this path where she begins to just be the only person who really gets what's going on in the world and has mastery over it all. So it's a really incredible journey for that sense. And yeah, throughout in the middle, it's just great combat, just driving you through it.
We've spoken extensively about the world itself, but it's weird. I'm usually someone who prefers a focus on gameplay over story.
Yeah.
But when they can mesh, that's great. But this is one of those games where this world is awesome. I mean, like we talked last week about their unique take on the post-apocalypse, right. I think they're calling it. What is it about that blend of nature and technology that really drives the story and the gameplay forward? Or does it, I guess?
Well, it drives it forward in so much as like no one in the world understands where this technology, like the ruins of technology around them came from, right? So you see stuff that looks familiar to us, maybe a little bit more advanced in today's technology, but like you can't really piece together what it's for, why it's there, like what happened. And so you do piece that together over the course of the journey, and you begin to understand sort of how technology and science can run amok, especially in the hands of men, right? Not specifically males, you know what I'm saying, humans. And so, yeah, like, and this is sort of just seeing, how the society, collapsed and how all this is viewed from a perspective where people haven't learned the lessons that they should have learned from this, right? And maybe there's someone sort of stumbling down a similar path that led to the destruction of the world, whatever. So, it's kind of hard to explain without spoiling too much, but certainly Aloy's connection to the technology and how she uses that to essentially piece together what happened in the world is how those two elements mix really well. Because everything is super wild, but you deal with everything using some form of technology or another.
Yeah, the footage we're watching right now is a lot of the combat. So fighting against humans was the part that I found pretty boring, but
yes.
But we did see a lot of hunting the machines, the animals. Callie, from your time, have you encountered a lot of different enemies, and what do you think of the combat in this game in terms of the hunting mechanics?
I really love the combat. Like Pete said, like the movement. Aloy's movement specifically is feels natural, even though she's like super agile and super strong. I don't feel overpowered against machines, but I also don't feel like you'd think arrows. You're like, oh, it's gonna take 1,000 arrows to take down this machine. But you get like really specific like weak points that you can target, and I really really like that. As an element of combat is kind of slowing things down. That's actually a perk you can get, and trying to like you can see right there, pinpointing areas of weakness. And it I don't know. It feels really good. I like the slow drip of mystery of like what happened to the world. I love stuff like that in general. And for this, because it's so slow and you're doing other things and you're dealing with tribal politics, and like a lot of the main quest is dealing with that over dealing with the technology that you don't know a lot about. And so I think it all blends together really well. I would agree that the human combat is probably the weakest, but I had a lot of fun stealthing my way through like bandit camps. Like I don't hate it. It's just the machines are much more interesting because they're like behemoths, and you have to do
your face.
yeah, you have to do a bunch of like rolling and dodging and setting traps on the fly, and so that's much more exciting. But I did like the stealth element at least of fighting humans.
What do you think of the actual like open world structure as far as the quests you're doing, right? Because it's made people making comparisons to a Far Cry game where you're like kind of clearing these outposts and then unlocking parts of the map, which unlocks side quests. People are kind of comparing it to Skyrim, but I think that's more the world itself. How does the structure of this game function overall, and does it work well?
So, I mean, the things with like clearing out outposts, like you don't really have to do that.
They're avoidable.
Yeah, I actually chose to do only the ones that were required of me. And then after I beat the game, I went back and I was like, well, I want to keep playing, so I'll do these now. But really what drove me through the world was the idea that, okay, you can craft a lot of really interesting pieces of equipment or purchase them, and you need to have a lot of resources to do it. So, I would find myself, and there's a certain item that you need very specific items to get. So basically, I was driven through the world by wanting to find the things I need to attain new technology, right?
Yeah, I did that too, like targeting certain machines because you need a certain
Right.
part to get a better bow or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fast travel is an option, but you also have the ability to hack robots to sort of ride them through an environment, and that's really fun. Like combat on horseback feels great. So I tried not to fast travel too much through this game, but I tended to avoid the things that were maybe like, these are the missions out in the world. I actually just preferred doing the sort of, if you can call it standard fare, right? Like just combat and gathering. Like that was good enough for me, and that I think the game did really well.
Sorry, Kelly, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, I kind of not stumbled my way through things, but instead of looking for things to do, I would just kind of happen upon something, and like I would happen upon abandoned camp and be like, oh, there's items here that I need. I might as well take it down. Like I found it more natural. I didn't have to ever look for something to do. I never wanted for something to do, even when I wasn't busy with a main quest. And I kind of delaying the main quest because I just want to keep playing. And I even hunting like flesh and blood animals for things is fun. Like I'm like, oh, I need a boar skin, so I'm gonna find the best place to hunt boar. Like
it's a very satisfying feeling to drawing your bow and hitting an animal and just gathering the thing and keeping going. And then
But I hate killing fox. You need fox skins for like
for carry capacity to upgrade your inventory and stuff.
And I love foxes, and it was really sad that I had to kill them because they make this awful noise, especially if you they make this horrible noise, especially if you do concentration, so you slow time down because they kind of move erratically. And I would
same
hit
noise
it.
a fox makes when it dies in real life too.
Yeah, and it's like, "Rah!" And I'm
kidding,
like,
I never-
yeah, I know. Yes, I know. I chose to ignore that. Thank you. Yeah, so I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Killing machines doesn't have that effect because they're machines. They don't have souls.
We would probably spend more time talking about Horizon if we hadn't already for 2 weeks. Pete, your review, 9 out of 10 on GameSpot, is up on GameSpot.
Yeah.
We also have other things to talk about today, which everybody wants to talk about Zelda, which we're coming up in like right now. But yeah, in the meantime, if you are still interested in Horizon Zero Dawn, it's worth playing. I love it. Callie loves it. Pete loves it. 9 out of 10 on GameSpot. Go read the review. We have a lot of coverage of it, a lot of videos, guides. If you're just getting into it, if you haven't picked it up yet, it came out yesterday. Go check it out. Game is well worth the $60.
It's crazy to think it just came out yesterday.
It's super
Right.
weird.
I feel like I played it like an era ago.
Yes.